Starting today, we're taking responsibility for my sister and niece, providing them with food, clothing, shelter, and everything they need. Huh? What's going on? I mean, for the past month, my sister-in-law hasn't contributed a dime to the household. We've actually been taking care of her. Wait a second, you didn't mention that we were going to live with them full-time. Quinn and her husband are going through a divorce, so we need to support her and my niece. We're planning to build a new home and start a new life as a family of 5. I didn't quite grasp the situation. Words were just flowing out of my mouth. Alright, then I guess we're getting a divorce. My name is Kennedy, I'm 32 years old, and I've been a homemaker for 7 years, married to my husband Isaac. We live together with our 5-year-old daughter, Ellie. I thought we were leading a happy family life, but it seems I was mistaken. It appears that what mattered most to my husband wasn't me or our daughter, but his sister. It all unfolded one evening. I thought it was my husband at the front door, but to my surprise, I found my sister-in-law, Quinn, and my niece, Claire. I'm home. Welcome back. Quinn, why are you here? I brought them here. Hi, Kennedy, it's been a while. Oh, hi. I hastily grabbed my husband and whispered my questions. Ouch. What's wrong? I'm asking you, why did you bring her here? Well, I heard Quinn was having some trouble with her husband, and I felt sorry for her, so I invited her to stay at our house. No, that's unreasonable. What? You can't just bring her here without consulting me. What? Why not? I'm asking you to communicate with me first. This house isn't just yours, Ellie lives here too. Are you asking me to abandon my sister? That's so harsh. That's not what I meant. I'm not suggesting they'll be here forever. With that, he headed into the living room. I wouldn't expect them to stay indefinitely. Since we've been married, I've realized how close he is to his sister. Even while we were dating, he'd often talk about her, describing her as his pride and joy. But I never witnessed the level of doting affection I see today. Initially, I thought he was a caring person who loved his family. However, shortly after we got married, my sister-in-law started visiting our home frequently. She began to intrude on our newlywed life, regularly joining us for dinner and going shopping with my husband. At that time, my husband didn't say anything to her, he just kept saying, "It's so much fun." Eventually, my sister-in-law got married, and she stopped coming over, which I was relieved about. But now, for the first time in a few years, it seems we might have to endure those tiresome days once more. With a sigh, I returned to the living room. My sister-in-law was already on the couch, engrossed in the TV. It felt rude of her to act like she owned the place, but my husband seemed to pamper her even more. Quinn, would you like some coffee? Yes, please. Claire, I'm going to get you some oranges. Yay, there's pudding in the fridge. I love pudding. Hey, I got this for Ellie, me, and you. Let's not be stingy. It's important to be generous to our guests, right? You should be able to take care of others to some extent. Huh? Are you saying I'm stingy? My daughter was also disappointed that her pudding was gone. Ellie, how about we go to a restaurant? You can have all the candy you want there. Really? Yay. I sympathized with my daughter's feelings and felt the need to soothe my own. At the restaurant, my daughter savored a parfait with sparkling eyes while I sipped my coffee, contemplating how to handle my sister-in-law. Oh, there you are. What? To my surprise, my husband entered the restaurant. It would have been considerate to prepare some food for us at home. Well, I left your meal on the table. You should have made something for Quinn and Claire as well. Kennedy, you may not be cut out for homemaking. What? What are you talking about? Well, let's take a look at the menu. My husband and sister-in-law ordered steaks, along with a kid's meal for Claire. I had hoped for a peaceful time alone with my daughter, but their arrival disrupted our plans. Then my sister-in-law declared, "I want a parfait, like Claire's having," while my husband chimed in, "I'd like to save dessert for after dinner." He proceeded to order 2 parfaits, and my sister-in-law and niece shared one. How can you eat so much? You just had pudding earlier. That's why we decided to dine out. I'm feeling really full. Me too. I'm getting sleepy. Well, let's head home. Kennedy, could you handle the bill? What? With that, my husband hurriedly exited the restaurant. In the end, I had to cover my sister-in-law's expenses from our family budget. Given that my husband had ordered pricey dishes, the bill amounted to about $50. If he hadn't brought his sister-in-law along, we wouldn't have spent so much. 2 weeks went by, and there was no sign of my sister-in-law leaving. My husband's concern for her and his niece was so overwhelming that he hardly paid any attention to our own daughter. My little girl was deeply upset and tearfully asked me, "Is Claire more important to Daddy than I am?" All I could do was reassure her, saying, Claire is going through a tough time because she got kicked out of her own home, so your father is just trying to be kind to her. I realized that I couldn't continue like this, so I mustered the courage to talk to my husband. Ellie is really hurting because you're not spending time with her. I'm not saying you shouldn't be there for Claire, but you also need to be there for Ellie. My husband shot me an annoyed look and replied, "Fine. What's with the fuss? Are you seriously lecturing me about spending time with our own daughter? Why do you have to be so irritating?" "I'll talk to Ellie too," he said, but it didn't make much of a difference. He only devoted sporadic moments to our niece and Ellie. And by then, a whole month had passed since my sister-in-law's arrival. I inquired with my husband every 2 weeks or so about when they were planning to return to their own home. His response remained consistent, "I can't say just yet." My sister-in-law and niece carried on as they pleased, and no matter how much I cleaned the house, it seemed to get messy because of them. The apartment we currently resided in was inexpensive, with small rooms. We were saving money for our future home, which was why we opted for this place. So when my sister-in-law and niece created a mess, it quickly affected the entire apartment. Originally, there was a separate room for each of us, me, my husband, and my daughter. But with my sister-in-law's arrival, I had to share a room with my daughter, while the room I once occupied was now taken over by my sister-in-law. Just when I felt like I had reached the limits of my patience, my husband dropped a bombshell. "From now on, we're taking full responsibility for my sister and niece. We'll provide them with food, clothing, housing, and everything they need." Huh? What was he talking about? For the past month, my sister-in-law hadn't contributed a dime to our household. Hold on a second. You never mentioned we'd be living with them permanently. Quinn and her husband are going through a divorce, so we need to support her and my niece. We plan to build a new house and start a fresh life as a family of 5. I couldn't quite comprehend what he meant, my words just tumbled out. "Okay, so you're suggesting a divorce?" "What? Divorce? Certainly. I can't remain married to a man who prioritizes his sister and niece over his wife and daughter." "What? You want to divorce me because of this?" "It's not just jealousy." "Jealousy? Don't make me laugh. I'm saying I want to leave because I can't endure living with them any longer, and Claire and I can't take it." "Don't insult my sister. I'm just speaking the truth. All they do is drain our finances for nothing. It's like having 2 kids constantly clinging to you." "That's enough. Don't provoke me. I'll divorce you or whatever." "Fine, and I won't be sad to see both of you go." "Well then, I'm relieved." With that, I retrieved the divorce papers from the drawer. I had picked them up from the city clerk's office a few days prior, reaching my breaking point. He snatched them, filled out his portion, his face reddening. I took them, packed my belongings, and left with my daughter for my parents' house. Afterward, we had a meeting with a lawyer to discuss the property division. For some reason, my husband even brought his sister to the meeting. "I wanted you to witness how unhappy you'd make me," he said. Normally, I would have been furious, but I didn't care anymore. I went without hesitation. "This concerns our savings since we got married, so I suppose we'll have to split it 50-50. "Oh, that's a substantial sum of money." "Well, I should be able to cover that with the property settlement I received from my ex-husband." "Well, that's a relief. Are we finished here then?" "Yes, I believe so. Well, Quinn and I are planning to build a new house and start a comfortable life with my niece. Kennedy, are you going to be a single mother living in a modest apartment?" "I'll be staying at my parents' house with my daughter for a while." "By the way, you mentioned building a new house, but what about the land?" "What land?" "Oh, I see you forgot. You can be quite forgetful at times." "What? What are you talking about?" "When we first discussed building a new house, it was because my father had promised to give us the land he owns. Now that we're divorced, the land won't be yours, and you can't build a new house unless you find and purchase land. With what you have now, you can only afford a small cottage." My husband's face turned pale, and he fell into silence. "Oh no. I didn't hear that, brother. I got a divorce because you told us we could live in a new house for free. I'm not interested in your issues, so I'll be on my way. Goodbye." "Wait." I ignored my sister-in-law's call and left the house with my lawyer. The looks of despair on my husband's and sister-in-law's faces were almost comical. I heard that my ex-husband is still living in the apartment with my sister-in-law and niece. However, with living expenses for 3 people and child support for my daughter, his savings are dwindling. I also heard that my sister-in-law's husband left her due to her reckless spending habits. I'm sure she'll exhaust her brother's savings soon enough. My ex-husband reached out to me to reconcile, but I chose to ignore him and block his calls. I've also successfully found a new job, and my parents have been incredibly supportive in helping me care for my daughter. I'm working hard as a single mother, and my daughter has formed a strong bond with her doting grandparents. She doesn't seem to have any interest in her father anymore and hasn't asked to see him since the divorce. I look forward to watching her grow up and living a happy life with my family.